Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast, which, by the way, is brought to you by Manscaped, our new show sponsors. The best of men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, we've all been there, we need them shaved and groomed, and have engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredible comfort grooming experience. There's nothing worse getting a wee bic razor and it just cuts you but tell you, they do hit the spot. Their fourth generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, has now launched all over Europe and features wireless charging, a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, and comes with additional guard size 1 to 4 to fine-tune your trim. And thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, you can now feel safe shaving your balls, as you Scottish people would say. So join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code CELTS, all cap letters, you can see on the podcast as well, at manscaped.com, and the link in the description below. And fellas, again, it's a fantastic gift idea, isn't it, coming up to Christmas?
Absolutely, Stephen. I can't believe after merely a few videos where the sponsors are rolling in as well. So thanks to the guys at Manscaped for taking the wee sort of chance with us. And like I say, as Stephen says, guys, it's festive period's fast approaching, and it's I can't recommend it highly enough. As you can see on the screen, there's if you want to just put that code in, you will get a wee 20% off. So that's our gift to use.
And Francis, 20% off. You're treating yourself. You're treating someone else. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm treating myself, Stephen. I've been a beat guy for all these years, and this has just changed my life. This has changed my life. No more have I got red balls.
as it does say, your balls will thank you. But look, we'll move on. This is the Endless Celts Podcast, joined by Francis and Anthony. How are you both?
Yeah, all good, Stephen. All good.
I'm
Got a
very
nice
well,
wee fresh cut, so I'm fine.
Good man.
That's
good man.
It's been a couple of weeks since I've been on, so looking forward to getting started. Plenty to talk about. So let's go for it.
Plenty to talk about. Obviously, the first port of call is the sad news that the Lisbon land Bertie Auld has passed away, aged 83. A Celtic man through and through, Celtic legend, Celtic icon. And me, myself, Anthony, before I come to you, I've had some experiences with Bertie Auld, visiting Celtic Park, just randomly bumping into him after games or before games. And he's always willing for a photo, for a chat. His stories are excellent. I don't know if you've heard some of the ones going around. Simon Ferry tells a great one about the referee. And he goes up to the referee in one of the Glasgow Derby games, and he's like, "Ref, if I call you a bastard, will you send me off?" And the ref goes, the ref says to him, "Well, yeah, that's bad language to be sent off." And then he goes, "If I think you're a bastard, will you send me off?" And the referee goes, "No, that's you're only thinking it." And then he goes, "Ref, I think you're a bastard." Walked off. But see, that's the type of athlete. But I mean, Bertie Auld, as I said, Lisbon land, Celtic icon, isn't he?
Icon doesn't even begin to truly describe the man, Stephen. He wasn't the tallest of men that's ever walked this planet, but my God, the stature he had was just he's one of the 11 immortals, one of the 11 lions that triumphed in Lisbon. But it wasn't just that. He transcended generations. Like you say, it doesn't matter whether you were of that generation of Celtic fans or our generation or the generation coming through. He had time for everybody. And it's been, of course, the news is awful, but it has been nice just hearing everybody's own wee tales about Bertie and all the little anecdotes and personal stories that they've got. I've just got one myself. I met him briefly. A few years ago, I took my dad to see the Celtic musical, the year it was on its first run at the Pavilion Theatre, and obviously Lisbon played a very prominent part in that story. And my dad's very punctual. He's always wanting to get the place on time and whatever. So we get up to the theatre about half hour, 45 minutes before the doors even open, and there he was, Bertie, looking resplendent in his Lisbon Lions blazer, and was chatting away to him about this, that and the other, and we got a photograph taken with him. And at the time, I was just starting to have a bit of a bout of alopecia, and just as we were, and it was quite prominent on the back of my head, and just as I sort of said my goodbye, said my thanks to him for taking the photo, and we were going to go into the theatre, and he just says, "Oh, son, come back." So went, but and he sort of pulled me in and just kind of spoke quite quick. He says, happened to a pal of mine, and all, don't worry about it, just keep your chin up and you'll be all right. And, then gave me a hug, and you're just sitting going, a Lisbon lion, try to G me up, it's just stories like that, and I'm sure he'd have done that, it was a sellout that night, and it went on for 2-3 weeks, that production. So he'd done that night after night, just kind of been there welcoming. He was an absolute legend of a human being. He'll be sadly missed, but his name and his achievements will live on forever at Celtic.
Yeah, you're so right to allude to this. Obviously, horrific news. It's sad, but a smile comes to your face, Franny, when you think of Bertie Auld. All these stories coming out and all these anecdotes, as Anthony said. There was another one going about Twitter. I think it was when Celtic were doing one of the New Balance kits reviews, and Jeremy Cullick has the mic, and the fans aren't really responding, and he just goes and rips it out of his hand, and we're a grand old team to play for. But that's the type of that man. But any stories that you like, or even any folklore, any memories, not from yourself, but from other people, passed down to you?
Well, I do have a story, but before I touch it, just to actually touch on the man yourself, like, obviously it was way before your time, but if your father or grandfather were doing their job right, you knew about Bertie Auld and the Lisbon Lions at the end of the day. So we obviously knew about the guy, knew what he was about. And like you say, he has a character. He wore that blazer with like a badge of honour, the Lisbon Lions. Every time you seen him in public, he had that on. He really he loved Celtic. He loved being, like, he sort of took on that ambassador role, obviously, when Billy McNeil had to step back and obviously sadly passed away. And Bertie Auld seemed to take on the mantle of being like the ambassador type role for Celtic. But I actually met him in 2017 in Vegas at the convention, but the golf day, like some of the ex-players on the plane, that was obviously the 50th anniversary of Lisbon. And at that golf day, I've been a couple of times, and you actually just sit down for breakfast before you go out and stuff, and there's Bertie Auld sitting there, and but he's sitting in his breakfast, and I'm just sitting going, oh, when am I going to get a chance like this to get a picture of him? But at the same time, you're not going to interrupt the guy when he's eating it. But I just thought, nah, I can't let it pass. And so, because my dad would have never forgiven me for it. So I just went over, kind of apologised for interrupting him at his breakfast and things like that, and just said that my dad wouldn't forgive me if I didn't ask you for a picture and stuff. And he was like, don't you ever apologise, son. That means your dad's talking about me. He says, obviously, I must have been good enough that your dad's talking about me. He's like, just never apologise in that. And I thought, that's brilliant. The guy, like, and he sat there and done it for quite a lot of folk in that. And I think he must have had a cold roll that morning, because it was just, everybody was round about him. They had time for everybody. And you hear all the stories and that. And I actually tuned into the Axon thing. I think it was Monday. And it was either Tony Haggerty or Paul John Dykes had made a good call. They really need to immortalise the Lisbon Lions going up that Celtic way. I know obviously Billy McNeil's there, but it'd be good to get them all up there just as you walk up. It's the perfect sort of a setting for it. Then they also made a good point about maybe naming the tunnel after him, because obviously two of his best stories come from, not obviously the tunnel in Parkhead, but obviously we know the one about in Lisbon where he's obviously has the wee joke with Jimmy Johnson, then obviously the one at Ibrox where I think it was John Gregg asked what his one bonus was or something, and then obviously John Gregg was like, "Oh, mine's is 6. What's yours?" And he was like, "Oh, it's free, but mine's is guaranteed." It's just before a big match, he's kind of saying things like that. You're like, this shows you just, like you say, it's obviously sad, but the stories you're hearing about the guy and that, and just what type of character he was, it just speaks volumes of him.
Yeah, 100% does. And I mean, you can never know when to stop about Bertie Auld. The stories, the anecdotes, and even his honours is fantastic, Anthony. European Cup, numerous league championships, Scottish Cups, Glasgow Cups, Scottish League Cups. He won stuff with Birmingham City, the Interfair Cup runner-up as well. So, the kind of guy in the management, Partick Thistle and Hibernian. So, do you think, as Franny said, these guys like Bertie Auld, Billy McNeil does get recognised with a statue, but do you think there needs to be more recognition for this team and what they achieved?
Yeah, absolutely. And like Francis, I heard the guys sort of debate that on AXOM the other day, and I couldn't agree more. Like you say, the way that that full sort of pathway's been designed now, you could absolutely have a statue of all 11 of them, and all 11 of them deserve it. To be honest, it's the greatest story in Scottish sport. It will never ever be done again. And for me, things like that have got to be celebrated to the absolute maximum. There's obviously the famous photo of all 11 of them when they walk out. And, if somebody with more talents than me could maybe, construct something like that of all of them going, or could be 11, individual statues, anything that, like you say, befits the achievements would definitely get the thumbs up for me.
Yeah, well, again, we at the Endless Celts Podcast pass on our thoughts and our prayers to Bertie Auld, his family, his wider circle of friends, and also Celtic Football Club, who's lost a legend. And as we said in our Twitter post, Francis, once a Celt, always a Celt, and that's Bertie Auld down to a T. But look, we'll move on, and I know you guys are busting at the bit here to talk about Scotland. It's a Celtic podcast, but we'll give it a wee bit to Scotland here after the heroics. But come to yourself, Franny, first here. I mean, the beat Denmark 2-0, no one was really expecting that, and I have to be honest, I'm going to be honest here, didn't really catch some of the game, so you guys are going to have to fill me in on what you've seen and what it was like, and I can feed off that, so bear with me. But get into the game, obviously. Scotland feed Denmark. Denmark were unbeaten, weren't they?
Yeah.
Highest goals, least goals conceded. So what was that like from a Scotland point of view, especially being seeded now for the draw?
Well, I suppose there was a wee bit of pressure off in the fact that the Moldova win guaranteed you a playoff. Didn't guarantee you the home tie, obviously. You had to, I think as it stood, it was a point all but guaranteed it against Denmark. It wouldn't have been totally guaranteed till all the results for other games. But to actually go out there and beat Denmark, who had won every game leading up to that in the group, 9 out of 9, and play the way we did, that was the big thing. It was not a lucky 1-0 or 2-0 win. We absolutely dominated Denmark. Yeah, they had a couple of spells. It's only natural, like towards the end of the second half, Scotland probably didn't know whether to stick or twist, and naturally you step back 5-10 yards and invite pressure on, but we obviously then caught them on a great counter-attack. But it was just such a great team performance, and folk were making a big deal about Denmark missing some stars. But I can say off the top of it, we were missing Patterson, McTominay, Hanley. So that's like 3 of the back 5 that would normally start. It started most of a good part of the campaign was missing. And guys like John Souttar, like, what a story that is for that guy. To him come in and put in the performance they had. Liam Cooper put in a great performance again. The midfield three just done it again. I'm glad that McGregor, you see it now on Twitter and stuff, he's getting more recognition. It's not like, not taking anything away from McGinn and Gilmore, they're super, super players. But I think because they're in the Premiership, McGregor kind of gets overlooked. But I think over the last couple of games, folk are actually realising how good he is and stuff like. And Shea Adams, a special mention to him. He's not the most clinical striker, but both game Moldova and especially Denmark, like Willie said in the group chat, if anybody deserved a goal the other night against Denmark, it was Shea Adams, and you could probably argue John Souttar, because it was the two of them were absolute dynamite. Both of them won the match. I wouldn't argue about who got it at the end of the day, but it was such a great performance. We've gave ourselves the best possible chance to qualify, but no new luck, we'll get lumped with Italy or Portugal in the final.
Keep positive, Franny, and amply. Francis makes a good point, and I know there was talk on Twitter about Denmark missing players, but he's went to this game with Cooper, who hasn't really played much for Scotland at international level. John Souttar basically come back off at ACL with his knee with Hearts, and by all accounts, John Souttar had a fantastic game. He took his goal well. Shea Adams, from what I've seen that goal, he took that fantastically well under pressure as well. But what are you saying about it? Are you seeing a newfound confidence within this Celtic team, within the Scotland team? Because you look at it in previous years going back, Francis makes a great point. Usually you would kind of tail off at this hurdle, but these are kind of pushing on now, which is good to see.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great testament to all the work that Steve Clarke's done with the team. He's had to take quite a lot of negative headlines from certain sections of the media, and he's stuck with it. He's seen the system and he's drilled it into these players, what he wants them to do, and I think that's one of the best sort of qualities. Every single player knows what is required of them when they go onto the pitch. And the results speak for themselves. 6 wins on the spin when needed. and going into that match, especially Monday night, we'd done the tough job. We'd avoided the sort of classic, Faroe Islands or Georgia kind of like performance against Moldova. We went and done the job. We were clinical. We didn't really look under pressure throughout the match. But then going into the match at Denmark, it felt to me quite similar to the old sort of Champions League nights with Celtic under, Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan, when we were absolutely the underdogs against, some of the bigger teams that would come. But at the same point, didn't look out of place for 1 minute. Every player on the park knew what they had to do, and they went out and performed it. Scotland were absolutely magnificent on Monday night. And I don't think it's any coincidence that even, guys, even with a few more decades in their years than us, are saying that it is possibly the best all-round Scotland performance that they've ever seen. Because we know we've had great results in the past, for the 2 wins over France and, some great, performances against England. And obviously we, qualified for the Euros this year, which was magnificent. But in terms of all-round display against a team ranked in the top 10 in the world, to come to Hampden and be outplayed from start to finish, it was just absolutely a joy to watch. And like as Franco's alluded to, it's secured us that home semi-final tie. And when you look at the unseeded teams, there's no donkeys in it by any stretch. But I think at home, I would fancy us against any of those 100%. Teams. And I would say all of those guys will be wanting to avoid Scotland in this type of forum. And then, it's a lottery after that if we were lucky enough to get through. But I think the biggest credit you can give them is not only has he ended our, hoodoo from not qualifying for major tournaments because we've got over that hurdle. We've now got into a winning habit, which is a good habit to be in. These players, this current crop, only really know success of, winning when needed and qualifying when the opportunity presents itself. So when it comes to the playoff round, it's not beyond, it's not a wild fantasy, Scotland qualifying for this World Cup now. It's, if somebody was to tell you right now Scotland will qualify, it wouldn't come as a shock because of the work that Steve Clarke's done and the way he's got this group of players motivated. So yeah, I just wish it could be March already now, because hopefully by that point we'll have the League Championship wrapped up and we can just look forward to putting our pennies away for Qatar 22.
See, you make a great point, and finally before the Scotland section, I want to come to both of you quickly. Who would you fancy out of the unseeded teams? I know you said all of them, but Francis, if you could pick one, who would it
be? North Macedonia, I think, is the one that sticks out to everybody. Then Turkey aren't what the team they used to be, but I'm not going to be picked. If I could pick, I'd say North Macedonia, but like Anthony said, I don't think any of the teams will fancy coming here. And like I said, Scotland are in a good position, good place now, and like you don't see many pullouts in the Scotland squad now. Nobody seems to, if there's a big game for a club round the corner, nobody's pulling out. Like Andy Robertson and all that, these big players are all turning up every international break and stuff. So we're in a good place. So I bring any of them on.
What about yourself, Anthony?
Yeah, I would echo that, Stephen. Like you said, as I said before, I would take a fancies against any of them, but North Macedonia, it's maybe I'm maybe being a bit disrespectful to them, but it's just the point is I don't know enough about them, which is maybe a potential banana skin. But I just think Scotland at home, with, like you say, the likes of Robertson, Tierney, McGinn, and that kind of forum, yeah, I think we've got as good a chance as anyone is to being in the final rounds.
100%. So good luck, Scotland, from all us here at the Endless Celts Podcast, and we'll move on to some Celtic news, and there's loads and loads of it. I mean, we could just get stuck in right now, but we'll start with the kind of the upkeep, and we'll keep it nice and happy for now. And we'll look at that Ange Postecoglou fan press conference, which again, Anthony was fantastic. 40 minutes out of his day, all the podcasts lined up. Yes, we won in. So if you're listening, we won in. So all the podcasts lined up asking their questions. There was one question in particular that kind of struck me, was about recruitment. Can't remember what the exact question was, but Postecoglou answered in that much detail. He had to stop himself from going on and on and on. He was talking about Japanese markets. He was talking about Australian markets. And then he brought up Iran and he was like, I need to hold back here. I'm going to give my secrets away. But in terms of Postecoglou, this guy really gets the Celtic fans, doesn't he, Anthony?
Yeah, he just sort of gets the feel of the club. I've talked to some friends the last couple of weeks just regarding how he seems to fit Celtic. It reminds me, and I'm not trying to compare them in terms of ability or where we're going to go or anything like that, but just in terms of he just seems a perfect fit for the club, and it's similar with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp could go anywhere in the world, but he seems to want to stay at Liverpool because he gets that passion for the stands, and it glows out of him as well. You know, that sort of that love for the Anfield crowd. Now, we're maybe not quite at that stage just yet with Ange, but I'm definitely fast getting there because he just you can't quite sort of describe why, but he just gets it. I remember watching it was obviously we lost the match that day, but it was Sky's build-up before the first derby match at Ibrox there, and he sat down and discussed, you know, his family background and stuff, and you know that it's obviously his family, you know, moved to Australia when he was a young boy, and he was sort of telling that, you know, the immigrant story, which is a story that's always been welcome at Celtic Park, and I think he kind of feeds into that, and just on top of the fact that he enjoys playing attacking football, which we all thrive and we all crave and want to see. He's just, in the few short months that he's been with us, it feels like he's been here for years. He's totally, amidst all the, you know, some of the stuff that we're maybe going to touch on later, a lot of the noise and, you know, circus shows that's going on around about him, he's still managed to keep this team competitive, both domestically and in Europe. And you can just see on the pitch, similar to what we were saying about Steve Clarke as well, all the players want to play for him. They're buying into what he's trying to teach them. And I just hope he's here for a long time to come.
Yeah, I really don't want to ever listen to our podcast when he was getting linked to the job. I never want them to come up ever again, because some of the comments that we were saying were just atrocious, and that includes me in that, by the way. But coming to, oh man, it's almost as bad as our Barkas romance, friendly, but God, but sure. Going on to obviously the fan press conference, and as Anthony rightly said, I remember that wee thing he did with Sky Sports that showed him kind of his heritage, where he came from, his immigrant background from Greece to Australia, his dad and stuff, his love for football, and that's where he kind of gets that from. But these fan press conferences are fantastic. That it's not even the fact that he does it. He does it because he wants to. He's not being forced from someone above him to do it. He's just there. He's 40 minutes of sitting, talking Celtic and talking tactics and going through players and talk about Kyogo. But what did you take away from it? Because for me, it's the first time since Rodgers first came in that I felt this kind of connection again with the players and the management.
Yeah, I think like Anthony's on the money when everything he says there, and like you said, he seems to have that connection with like a similar Rodgers type idea, where he's bringing everyone together, and everything that seems to be going on in the background, it's not that we're ignoring it, but he's managed to sort of within sections of the fans keep it quiet and keep it away from sort of affecting the team and stuff. So you've got to kind of applaud him for that. And like Anthony said, I don't know what it is, but it just seems to get it. Could be it's obviously as a type of character, as I believe this is probably how he's acted at every club. He goes in 100%. He gets involved in the background of the club and stuff. And I'm not saying he's playing up to the cameras or anything like that, but he knows what he needs to do to get what he needs out of the players and stuff, and get the fans on side and things like that. And I think Klopp has, like when Anthony said I think that's a great comparison in the sense of we're obviously not talking about what he's achieved or anything like that, but what he sort of seems to have brought to Celtic now. And yeah, it's even if he's forced into some of these press conferences, like the fan things and that, he still gives up his time. It's not. It doesn't seem to give generic answers. He does, like you say, he's going into detail. And sometimes you're like, go and just give a wee generic answer so you're not giving away some secrets here, mate. But you've just got to kind of take your hat off to that and just like, it's what obviously we want Celtic to win, but as one guy, and this is probably part of why another thing is it's like, as one manager, it sounds maybe stupid saying it, as one manager I've never wanted us to win for so much in my life. I'd really want to win for this guy. I just hope we win some for him because, just like you say, he's bought into everything, and Celtic and the players, well, the fans anyway, are buying into him, and the players are buying him. So I just hope we manage to achieve what he's wanting to achieve for this club.
See, like, genuinely, you look at Postecoglou, and managers have shelf lives, and I'm talking a bit in the future here, usually 2 to 3 years, and then they're looking to move on. But do you think, Anthony, like, Postecoglou is there for that foreseeable long-term project that he keeps talking about, and then you're talking 4 to 5 years? Can you see him being here, and, like, touch wood, don't want to put the Scot on him, but can you see him being here, results dependent, obviously, in 5 years' time, still enjoying it as much as he is now?
Yeah, possibly. Of course, I think that'll all depend on, how we do domestically, because I think obviously at the point now where we can get straight into the Champions League if you win the league, obviously that, I can imagine any manager or head coach will want to test himself at that kind of level. But for the moment, this is all a new experience for him. It's obviously something he's wanted to do for a long time. He's sort of managed it. He's managed at the highest level. He's managed at a World Cup. You don't go any higher than that. But I think this is it certainly doesn't seem to be giving off any bells that he's only here for a year, 2 years, and then he's going to, jump ship to the first club down south that, bats their eyelashes at them. It seems to be that he wants to put down some roots here and, just sort of leave a sort of legacy. And you never know if we're talking here maybe a year or two from now where we've got some more trophies in the bag and some more European campaigns under our belt. We might have to just have the Lisbon Lions statue at one side of the Celtic way, and then Ange and his magnificent cardigan on the other.
See, even, like, I know you're kind of joking when you say that, but even the fact that you bring up that fact that I'm no jokingly statues and stuff, that's how much already, Francis, that Celtic fans have kind of bought into this guy. And he came into the club unknown. A lot of fans throwing basically shit at him, to be honest. Like, what's he done? Where's he been here? And all that there. But the whole point that Anthony said there was the legacy. I think that's important for him as well. Do you get that from him in terms of leaving something behind and building it?
Yeah, 100%. I don't see him going. I'm not expecting him to be here for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, but I could, providing success is allowing it, I can see him being here for 4 years, 5 years, no problem. And definitely, if he's having success in the way things are going, he'll leave us in a very good place, and he'll leave with his head held high, and the Celtic fans will adore him. So, he's, like, I know it's obviously early doors. It's literally been in the door 2 minutes, and it just seems everything just seems good. And I don't know if it was from the fan media or the AGM, but the pictures you see online where everybody's going up to see him and nobody's over at the AGM. I think that spoke volumes. That spoke absolute volumes. And I think the board, I know we're going to go onto the board and things like that, but I'm hoping that gives them a big wake-up call, looking at that going, they can't be that stupid to look at that and go, we need to make sure we do everything for this guy, because I thought that was a very telling picture.
100% agree with you. And to be honest, you've done that effortlessly, bringing us into our next topic, which is the Celtic AGM, but in other words, the clown show with the board. And I mean, Anthony, we'll start with the first kind of subsection of this, and that was Ian Bankier and Brian Wilson were voted down in terms of retaining their position, but remain via a poll, which is done obviously outside in terms of other voters and stuff. But apparently in the room, according to the updates I was reading, they were being booed at some points as well. No one applauded them, and I think Bankier made a comment of which I'm paraphrasing a bit here, saying that he can do nothing good kind of thing, and he'll still get booed. That kind of comment, which again, it's just terrible. And I think the likes of Ian Bankier and Brian Wilson, if they don't get a message from yesterday, it's craziness, because for me, they should have stepped down.
Yeah, I mean, these AGMs are very similar in terms of, Prime Minister's questions or, political party conferences or anything like that. They are just pantomimes. There is nothing gritty ever gets achieved at them. Everyone knows the results before you go into the room. I've always said, don't be fooled when you watch these politicians at a conference and some big new thing's just been voted on. Everyone knows what's going to happen. I've been in these halls when the cameras are off. Everyone knows what the result's going to be when the lanyards get raised and all that. So it's all for the cameras. And AGM is very much the same. Everyone knows that they were not going to be removed from office yesterday because they don't have, the ordinary shareholders don't have that kind of power. But the sort of ammunition they could use was to vote with their hands and say that if it was up to the ordinary support, then yesterday, yeah, those two men would have been removed from their positions. So, like you say, in any normal walk of life, that would send alarm bells that basically, as far as the ordinary punters are concerned, these guys' time is long overdue for them to be, on the dole queue. But unfortunately, when you're ran by an Ian Bankier is, probably the most uninspiring chairman Celtic have had, and certainly in my lifetime. Brian Wilson, I think it was a more financial background, but he always had he was quite, he didn't get too animated or anything, but I always felt Brian Quinn, when he was chairman, had a bit of a presence about him, soft-spoken, but, with a bit of steel behind them. And then obviously you move on to the years of, your John Reid as well, and obviously he'd came from a cabinet position in Tony Blair's government, which obviously was responsible for the Iraq invasion, so there was always that disconnect. But when you actually look at John Reid's time at Celtic, he certainly was outspoken, and he didn't sort of miss any arguments, or if there was debate to be had, he would get involved. That's the man's skill set. But obviously, it just happened to fall in a time when we weren't overly successful on the park. So even although there was that disconnect to start with due to his background, where he came from, there was these sort of tensions always rise, or are always a bit more sort of heated when results aren't going their way. And I think a lot of these guys thought they could hide behind getting 10 in a row and that would keep everything on simmer. But at the moment, if it wasn't for Ange Postecoglou's, miraculous efforts at the minute, it could have got very ugly yesterday, because these guys are so far out of touch. They are so they are long overdue an appointment with reality. They should not be anywhere near the corridors of power at Celtic. And yeah, like you say, when they finally do leave, it'll be long overdue. But here's hoping it's coming sooner rather than later.
I mean, me personally, Anthony, you make a great point. There shouldn't be anywhere near Celtic Park and like that kind of capacity, that kind of management position up high. And I think, Francis, it's absolutely disgusting that the fans there yesterday, at the AGM, voted them down, and they still get retained. And then the landlord, the big guy, Dermot Desmond, doesn't even bother to show up. I think that's 16 years, which I didn't even know that. I was a bit naive to that, but I think that's astounding that even he still holds a majority stake at Celtic, but he doesn't bother to show up for the most important meetings in the club's calendar. Yeah,
it's not a good look, and I'm not sure if it's been picked up so much in the past about I'm not being there. I don't know if it's just kind of more to the sort of to the eye, if you like, because of the discontent within the fans with the board and stuff. But it's definitely not a good look when your majority shareholder isn't there, and then he sends his laddie there again, which I believe has happened on the 16 occasions. And I've briefly bumped into his laddie at an event, and he is just one guy I wouldn't get sick of slapping. Honestly, he's just so far up his own arse, it's unbelievable. You can just tell, certain folk. Obviously, we come from a very working class sort of upbringing, but this guy, you could just tell, was silver spoon fed, and that's no fault with his, but he was so out of touch with reality and stuff. So I can imagine he wasn't really up to much either at it. But yeah, it just seems so out of touch with the fan, the common fan. And like, I'm sure my dad now would, like, obviously back when Fergus McCann was in charge, that, like, I wouldn't say I hated Fergus McCann, but my dad just always going about how he wasn't that wasn't that great, but I reckon my dad would take everything back he said about Fergus. Well, it does, but I would love somebody like Fergus McCann now instead of this guy Banker and stuff. It's just, you don't realise how good you've got it. I know Fergus McCann was a while ago, but like Anthony said, Banker is just like, he gives nothing. He made like a stupid comment about how something to do with like Scott Brown as well, like how we need to go on Scott Brown and that, and you're like,
no, he said bring him back.
Aye. And I'm like, I'm not trying to downgrade what Scott Brown in our lifetime, arguably the best captain we've ever seen at Celtic, but what is that comment all about? Like, I don't understand that. I don't know what it was meant to achieve, and I'm led to believe he was kind of heckled after that comment as well with certain comments and stuff, but you're like, what were you hoping that was going to achieve, that comment?
Just, I think one of the shareholders said, "I'm coming back for your job." So,
it's just madness.
It's astounding, and again, for me, like, it's powerful words and music, but I do think it's disgusting. These guys have been in office for 11 years. I think Brian Wilson's been there 15, something like that. The finance director has been in position 11, 10 years as well. So you need to change.
The boy Nicholson speak by any chance at that? I'm still waiting to hear what his voice sounds like.
He did, but I'm going to come on to that. Don't you worry. You worry. I'm going to come on to that. But look, another contentious issue that has been burning a hole in Celtic's pocket, especially in the last 3 weeks, is this appointment or potential appointment of Brendan Higgins to some sort of security capacity, Anthony. And there were questions on it yesterday by, I think it was Jeanette Finlay from the Celtic Trust, and she worded it excellently. And she said basically what's happening, and they give a non-committal answer, as they always do, and say we can't comment on a recruitment process that's still ongoing, basically not confirming if he has applied for it or not. And yes, I get the gripe of Celtic fans when this man is in a kind of linked with this road because what he's done previously. He's victimised Celtic fans, or Celtic fans' mental health being affected by him in years gone by as well. I've heard all the stories. Did you not think even for that brief moment that was a time for the Celtic board to be like, look, we're on your side in this one, he's nowhere near the job? But yet again, Anthony, they do what they always do and backhand it away.
I think in terms of, how they have to conduct themselves, I don't think there would ever be a situation where they could, in the middle of an AGM, say, okay, we're discounting his application for the post, because we all know that he's a candidate for the role. But yeah, I mean, Jeanette Finlay is a very impressive communicator, and she certainly gets her points across well. We never know, might reach out to her, see if we can have her on here one night. It would be absolutely brilliant. I'm a big fan of hers, but she hit the nail on the head. Regardless of whether or not he ends up in post at Celtic, the very fact that they are even considering him just again goes back to what I'd say about just being out of touch with what the common supporter thinks. Now, there might be a section of the Celtic support that don't care who's in the job, or they're only interested in, the manager and the players, and that's absolutely fair enough. I totally get that. But I think it's up to the supporters, perhaps, who do pay more attention to that, to sort of highlight why we're so against this guy getting the job at Celtic. He was a mascot and an enforcer of a absolute disgusting draconian piece of legislation that thankfully has subsequently been binned by Holyrood. It's, for anyone that doesn't know, it was called the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act. It was a nonsense piece of a nonsense bill dreamed up the morning after an Old Firm game at Celtic Park, where 3 Rangers players were sent off and Ali McCoist decided to try and wind Neil Lennon up. And, as always, politicians reacted rather than were proactive in this supposed fight against sectarianism. It was, I can't go, I'm not wanting to go too deep into it, but essentially it was nothing to do with making Scotland a fairer place or anything like that. It was simply a case of trying to even up the process. But when a High Court judged that the Billy Boys and the Famine Song are racist songs, this was seen nothing more than as a evening up to try and bring up the numbers of Celtic prosecutions for singing something like The Roll of Honour or something like that, which lyrical content does not differ very much from, some Scottish, the Scottish national anthem being one of them. I have to give credit. I don't give credit to them too often, but one of the days when they were the Green Brigade were one of the sort of fan groups leading the fight against this bill before it got binned, and they very cleverly sang the Roll of Honour at Celtic Park, but during which they sang it, they unfurled a banner saying they fought and died for their wee bit hill and glen. So not too weird, Stephen. That's part of the Scottish national anthem. So it was just to highlight the total ludicrousy of the bill, that you could go to a rugby match and sing this song and be none the wiser. But if you sing it at Celtic Park, you will probably be up in court on Monday morning. It was disgusting. It was a two-tiered justice system, provided whether or not you were a follower of football or not. It's in the bin in the history books, and anyone who either enforced it or supported it has no place on the payroll at Celtic Park.
100% agree with you, Anthony, and well put, by the way. And yeah, you deserve respect. You deserve respect of yourself for that one. That was a good one. But I mean,
he's not He could have dropped his mic after
that. I mean, Anthony refers to the bin and put them all in the bin, and that's where I think this appointment of Brendan Higgins should be in the bin, should be in the past. It should be never talked about again. It shouldn't even be an issue. The fact that the Celtic board are possibly, it's not confirmed, I don't know, but I mean, rumours are gathering that it is going to be him and it's going to be appointed in post. And as Anthony rightly alluded to, that whole Offensive Behaviour Act, it was an absolute outrage. It was disgusting. Fans were treated with contempt, especially Celtic fans, and that's not crying wolf. It's true. It's out there to see for everybody. This guy shouldn't be anywhere near Celtic Park.
No, 100% agreed. Like, I don't know what I can really add to what Anthony's put on the topic, because it got the point across amazingly. Like, don't really know what else you can add to that. Like, there's innocent guys lost their jobs because of this bill and things like that. Had chaps at the door at all hours. So it's, I just, obviously, like Anthony said, you're not expecting the board at the AGM to say, no, it's not happening. But you could maybe answer it a wee bit, I was going to say diplomatic, but they couldn't have given a more diplomatic answer than saying we're not going to confirm or deny it. But if they're really looking at the last sort of a couple of games with the displays and protests and stuff, then the discontent within social media, because there'll be, I'm not saying Bankier and that is looking at social media, but there'll be guys within Celtic that is their job to sort of look at the social media and get the feel. So if they're looking at all that, then still hire this guy on the back it goes back to the absolute discontent. But I was going to say I don't see it happening, but I wouldn't like to see what happens if it does happen, because I'm not wanting to try to be deemed as inciting violence and things like that. But I think there's going to be some serious. It won't. It may be a very toxic atmosphere around Parkhead if this guy gets that role.
I don't even want to imagine it, Francis. To be honest, it'll be absolutely chaotic with the Green Brigade, the Bhoys group, and even the ordinary Celtic fan. We all know what this guy's done, but we'll move on again to Ange Postecoglou, but in a different sense. Now, the appointment we were led to believe was Dominic Mackay's man, Anthony, but as much things are, they're free up in the air, and apparently Peter Law played a pivotal role in picking Ange Postecoglou for his position. Dominic Mackay wasn't even mentioned in the AGM. It's kind of airbrush from history. What do you think's going on there? Are they just landers on all fronts?
Well, Peter Lawwell 2 years ago claimed that he'd never heard or seen the five-way agreement that allowed Sevco entry into the third division. So, Celtic directors lying at the AGM is as common as us breathing, guys. So let's go no further than that. But in terms of the appointment itself, I think it was obviously Peter Lawwell would still have been in his position as the CEO at the time when he was first sort of approached. Obviously, as much as they're saying that he didn't have any role in it, I would be very surprised if that was the case, because Dominic Mackay had, sort of connections with him when he was over in Japan as well. I don't think there was anything too, personal or anything like that, but it was a professional. They knew each other in their professional quarters. So, yeah, whoever is responsible for appointing him, I'm just glad they did because he's proven to be a very, very worthwhile appointment.
Yeah, but it's what they believe, Franny, isn't it? Because remember when they had the first press conference with Dominic Mackay, Ange Postecoglou, and everyone was making them kind of comments. Get a partner who looks the same way as Dominic Mackay does to Postecoglou.
Yeah.
That's his man. He knew him from Japan. He worked there for years, and then he's left and he's kind of been chucked into the back burner. He subsequently got a new job, so fair play to him. Hope all's well there. But then Peter Auld crops up again, like he was a main role in this whole kind of arrangement with Postecoglou. I mean, where are you sitting in that? Because for me, yes, I do agree with you, Anthony, in the sense that whoever did appoint them, we've got a gem. We do have a gem with Postecoglou. There's no doubt, but it's the fact: who do we trust? What word do we trust? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's a big thing. It's like to sort of look at it blindly. It's what does it matter? Because, like you said, Postecoglou looks a really good manager on the face what he's done. So, one part you could say, but what does it matter who brought him here? Just be thankful that he is here. But for when he obviously got put in front of the media and presented and stuff with Mackay, obviously these things are going to happen where he's got to be thrust in front. They two will be thrust in front of the media and the wee sound bites. This is my guy. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. It's natural. How much it is true, well, we don't know now. It's even more in there. But like Anthony said, he was surely involved in the hiring process one way or another. Because it was obviously he's coming in. This has got to be the manager in there. It's obviously Mackay is maybe not physically went. Oh, by the way, you should go for this Postecoglou guy. But he was surely involved in the negotiations and saying, well, if I'm going to be the sort of a figurehead, I'm happy, or I want this guy to be underneath leading the team and stuff. But a wee bit, maybe it's just the cynic in me that like saying about, well, obviously there was a lot of discontent, especially last year with Law on the board. So maybe it's just the cynic in me, but maybe the board are just saying it was because they see how well the connection with the fans in Postecoglou. I wouldn't be surprised if the board are just saying it was Lawwell to try and get the fans back on side with Lawwell. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just something as stupid as that. Like, because that's just, to me, sometimes that's how I feel their heads work, that I will say he got them and everybody will be back on side there, like everything's forgot about.
Mm-hmm. Or is Peter Auld coming back? We'll never know. But look, I do want to say a big thanks to the people who are watching on YouTube. We smashed the 500 subscribers barrier and we're really grateful for that. But again, if you are liking what you're saying, we're a growing podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the wee bell and you'll be notified when we go live. But look, you did speak about Michael Nicholson there, Franny, and he did speak. And coming to yourself, Anthony, he did confirm that, well, words again with this board, Postecoglou will be backed with funds in January. They can see his potential. They can see he's building the team for the long term. And also within that conversation, and today, I don't know if you've seen it, Postecoglou has confirmed that Celtic aren't looking for a director of football. So again, it's focusing on key staff throughout, obviously, data analysis, scouting. So I think they're doing it that way. But with them comments, a wee bit of pleasing stuff coming to the AGM, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we spoke at hand when the whole sort of different models of what way we could, the club could be run. We discussed that sort of earlier on in the summer. I'm not necessarily pro or against a director of football, provided that other members of staff in place know what they're doing. As long as if Ange Postecoglou seems to be doing a very good job of, promoting, scouting players out or, going to the board with ideas. I mean, there's not really any signings that haven't worked out so far. You can see he's on the start building something, but this was always going to take more than one transfer window. So absolutely, he'll have to be backed in January. Mm-hmm. There's obviously the recent financial figures suggest that we're as healthy as any club could be post-pandemic with the geography of where we are. So I think that there will be money available. I don't really think there'll be any. I can't imagine. I think it'd be unthinkable for any big player to be, taken off the books in January. Perhaps someone like we were saying earlier, maybe Barkas, someone like that could get moved on. I would assume for £5 million, he'll be on a decent wage, possibly a Yeti as well. But I think anyone that does come in would be replaced with one of Ange's men.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And I mean, as well with Michael Nicholson, Franny, you didn't even know he spoke. I mean, he very rarely speaks. So again, this guy, I have no really big opinion on him. I just obviously seen the snippets come out that he's saying that Postecoglou is going to be backed. And the words they kept using was they're in rude financial health, which basically means they're in good health to spend money in January. And especially to take advantage of what's going on across the city. That needs to happen.
Oh, 100%. I think, obviously, them changing manager now, obviously, they've announced that the new guy, he could be an absolute wonder. It could be brilliant, but I think it's only natural that you're going to start when your rivals sort of change manager after like the sort of first quarter of the season, that you've really got to wonder, you've got to put your foot down and really try and take whatever advantage you can, and come January push on again, because we're on a great run just now. Hopefully we can continue that up to Christmas. I'm not suggesting we'll win every game, but I mean, if we do, fantastic. But then come January, try and get business done as early as possible. Appreciate, obviously, the January window is always a hard time to do business in Celtic in the past. Haven't really done a lot of business in January. But the fact that Postecoglou said he might go to like the Asian market again and stuff, so players are maybe out of contract, the season's over, so it'll potentially be easier to get business done then, because they teams have then got sort of a pre-season or their summer, I feel like, to then re-strengthen their team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The fact that they've said they're going to back him is good. I'll take that with a pinch of salt, just going on previous Januaries, but again, a lot of that is down to, it's not the most ideal market. I'll cut them some slack in that sense. It's not the most ideal market to do business, but it's exciting times. They're saying the right things, and obviously Postecoglou is obviously saying he's want to do that. So I'll take Postecoglou's word before theirs. So a wee bit of me is believing it's going to happen. Like, it's not. I'm not expecting 20 odd million. Maybe I'd be surprised if it's even as much as 10. But I'm expecting maybe 2 signings. Maybe, I know that doesn't sound a lot, but I think when you consider it's maybe got to be 2 guys that are ready for the first 11, that's big signings.
Yeah, 100%. And Anthony, we're back to domestic football action in the League Cup, Premier Sports Cup semi-final, whatever you want to call it, at Hampden. And the legend himself, Bertie Auld, referred to Hampden as a training ground because Celtic played on it so often. But I mean, we're going into this game against the double cup winners, St Johnston, who we'll have to respect. They won the double last year, most successful team in Scotland in terms of trophies. But how are you feeling into this one?
Feeling as well as it possibly could. Forum was good before the international break, and obviously not that it's necessarily Celtic related, but the feel good factor of the international breaks meant I'm really looking forward to this one. But like you say, I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen the Daily Record today, but they've done their classic job of misquoting one of our players, who said that he's Stephen Welsh said that he's looking for something along the lines of he's looking forward to an Old Firm clash before Christmas. Now, as you can imagine, Stephen Welsh said nothing of the sort, and it's if Hibs need any more encouragement to G themselves up for their match, then the Daily Record have duly given them it. But I think Celtic will approach this game in the right way. You've got to, like we say, we give St Johnston credit. They're the most successful team in Scotland this year, and they've defended their first trophy so far the right way. I mean, so often, if Celtic don't lift the trophy, the team who ends up winning it the following season, they can sometimes get knocked out at the first time of asking. But St Johnston have made it to Hampden again. Callum Davidson's done an absolutely magnificent job there, and I'm expecting a tough match. But make no mistake about it. But having said that, we've been to Hampden so many times now, and I think this group of players are in a good bit of form. And I'm looking forward to it Saturday night, and fingers crossed we can just book a slot in the final before Christmas.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And you do actually make a fantastic point. Obviously, credit goes to Colin Davison and the job he's doing, Franny. at St Johnston. They're defending the trophy in the right way so far, but they're up against us, which is a tough prospect for anyone in the Scottish football kind of landscape. But I mean, in terms of team news, I think Giacomakis has been injured again. He's picked up a groin injury in the previous game, so he'll be out. Postecoglou's confirmed that it's too early for Starfelt and Rogic, so they'll be missing. Obviously, Welsh is going to come in, as Anthony said, was misquoted in the daily record, but they're famous for that. But all in all, get into the game. Hampden, big pitch. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm like Anthony. I'm confident. You've got to be confident, Stephen, when you consider our form leading up to the international break and stuff. It was like, what was it, 8 wins or something, or was it 7 wins and a draw or something?
7 and 8,
like
7 and 8. Aye, yeah.
So you can't be, and then one of them included St Johnston. So you can't be anything but confident going into it. But so like Anthony and yourself touched on, St Johnston, obviously the holders of the cup, they're not going to surrender that easily. So you've just got to hope, with being the big patch, that we can utilise that to and take advantage of it. Get our sort of flair players on the ball, and yeah, just hopefully set ourselves up, win the game, get a final, and like I say, playing the final is before the turn of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first
the Sunday before Christmas. Yep.
So it's always good to be in a position where you could possibly win your first trophy and sort of for the first half of the calendar year, which, like I've touched on it before, if you can win that League Cup, it can really push you on for the season if you're in a good position in the league, because it's maybe not the most sought after trophy, I feel like, but it can really just set you up because you've picked up a trophy. It's probably a nice feeling for a lot of the players. A lot of the players maybe could be their first sort of a major honour, so it maybe help them kick on and stuff. So yeah, I'm not saying I can't. I can't say anything but a Celtic win on Saturday, Stephen.
Well, speaking of Celtic wins, quick fire, line up and score predictions. What are you going for?
Franny, if you don't mind, I'll go first, Franco.
Right. I'm going to
pick a Franco scored line, a hassle-free 2-0. And in terms of lineup, I think it'll be probably very much similar to the Dundee game, just with injuries and whatnot, and but you perhaps might have Forrest starting rather than Abada. But yeah, apart from that, whatever the Dundee lineup was, I'll go for that.
Oh, that's a great copy.
Hasn't even attempted to name the players. His mind's went blank. What about yourself, Franny?
He named Forrest. At least Forrest is playing there somewhere for him. I'm going to go with some. I thought I'd read that Welsh had got injured in international duty, but maybe
he's fine. He's fine.
So, well, I think obviously with Starfelt not being ready, the back five, if you like, picks itself with obviously Hart and goals, Ralston at right back, Welsh and Carter Vickers, and obviously Juranovic at left back. I think Beaton will keep his place. He obviously scored, I think, over the international break, so he'll hopefully be kicking on with a bit of confidence. Obviously, McGregor Turnbull in there. Then I actually think Forrest might play because he's obviously had that 10 days, 2 weeks sort of to get build up some fitness and stuff. I can see Forrest starting. Obviously, when you're saying Giacomakis is injured, not that would have put him in contention for a starting position, but I think it makes it easier to put Kyogo in the middle, and then if you're not putting Jota at left mid, I don't know what you're up to.
I'd have Jota trapped in that boardroom till he signs a permanent league. But I mean, coming to myself, I've never said that. Wow.
I don't know if I have to take a shot or not.
The lineup I would go for would be Joe Hart, Ralston, Carter Vickers, and I'm going to throw Liam Scales in. Liam Scales at left centre back with Juranovic. I'll go McGregor, Turnbull, and Beaton, and then on the right, Forrest, because Postecoglou alluded to the fact that Forrest has been doing well in training, so hopefully he gets a westart.
Kyogo for the middle. Isn't it? It's usually a sign when you do that.
Kyogo for the middle, and then Jota on the left. As you said, it's criminal if Jota doesn't start the game on the left. It's just craziness. But for me, I'll go hassle-free as well, Anthony. I'm going with that. Are we 2-0 victory?
I'll go for free.
Oh, that's a wee bit above our pay grade, Franny. We'll stick with 2-0 in Hampden, and hopefully another cup final to look forward to. But look, guys, that brings us to the end of the podcast, but you're not getting anywhere yet. The quiz is back, and just dedicated to the wee man himself, wee 1030 Bertie Auld. It'll be a quiz about him. So it will.
Oh, no.
So again, it's
Gotta
5
show you
questions.
How much I was listening to my dad.
Five questions, first to 3. You know the score. You've well rehearsed in it. Right. Going to start with a tough one first. Bertie Auld had one loan spell throughout his footballing career. Which club was it with?
Greenock Morton.
Anthony?
It's toughy. I think I'm trying to remember. He did go down south at one point. I'm sure. Didn't
It's
he?
in Scotland. It's in Scotland. It
Is
begins
Tranmere
with D.
Rovers? Is it Scotland
No.
thing?
Oh, come on, Stephen. I mean, there's quite
No.
a few of these. But...
I'll say Dundee.
Dumbarton? All right.
What did you say, Franny?
Dumbarton.
1-0 to Franny. He got it.
No, well done, Franny.
Cheers.
How many caps did Bertie Auld achieve for Scotland?
3.
1 each.
Oh.
Which, by the way, is criminal. It's criminal.
I mean, I would have been well wrong. I was going about 21 there.
That's absolutely criminal. Right. Bertie Auld managed 5 teams. Name me 3 of them.
Celtic.
Partick Thistle, Dundee, Partick Thistle, Dundee.
No, not Dundee. Dundee, nope.
Oh, that's not good. I don't know what I think. I'm getting maybe mixed up with Tommy Gemmell. Partick Thistle was his main one.
Was Birmingham one?
Come on, Anthony. Come on, Anthony. Partick Thistle.
No. I'm struggling, man.
Franny,
I'm struggling.
I'll give it to you here.
Nah.
Right, I'll name you all 5.
Again.
Partick Thistle, Hibs, Hamilton, Partick Thistle again, and Dumbarton.
Oh, you can't say 5 teams in Partick Thistle and Partick Thistle.
Well, look, I'm trying to make it easy for you, right?
Name 5 teams when you only manage 4.
It's like John with the goalie at 5 asides, isn't it?
How many Scottish leagues did Bertie Auld win with Celtic?
9. Yeah.
Nope.
I'm going to go
He
for
must have been
11.
part of the 9, no?
11?
6.
It's below 9.
Oh.
Below 6.
6, no?
5.
5.
Franny 2-1. I mean, see, to be honest,
criminal. That's mental. He was there in 57 as well.
See the amount of times I have to give you the answers on the plate. It's nuts. Like,
It
really is, man.
I'd take it. I'm taking it, especially against Anthony.
We all know Bertie Auld was a part of the Lisbon Lions team that famously won the European Cup. But what other European trophy was he a part of team, and they were Birmingham City? What other European trophy were they in?
Intertotal Cup.
Anthony?
I've had 2 goals, Anthony. I've had 2 goals.
UEFA Cup? The Fairs Cup.
Fairs Cup, 2 each. Deciding question. In what year was Bertie Auld inducted into the Scottish Hall of Fame?
2016.
No.
2003?
Nope.
5.
Yous are mad. Right, come on. Right, below 2010.
2009.
Yes, Anthony brings it home. I mean, see to be fair, no one wins that quiz. I had to give you the answers, but well played.
I'd be claiming it.
No, I'm only joking, Anthony.
I need to get my. I need to get my streak back. Obviously, Ross is, he ended it. But Anthony, I don't really feel like I won there. It was a guessing game.
Anthony was telling me like before, no, he's got the Celtic quiz book. If ever needs a couple of questions to ask the boys, come to him, and he can't even answer them himself.
He's not cheating.
But look, guys, it's been a brilliant show. We've covered some of the topics. Have you enjoyed it?
Loved it. Just remember,
absolutely. It was
Manscaped. Get on it.
That's it, guys. Absolutely. It's been great being back on. Been good on our first sponsored show. So, yep. Get yourself all sorted for the weekend. Get a Manscaped gift bag, and here's to a good result on Saturday night.
100%. And as you guys said, take advantage of this Manscaped offer. 20% off for the code CELTS. You can see it there on the podcast itself in the wee boxes. Get yourself a gift, a family member a gift. It's well worth it. And in the
Mad
meantime,
coordination.
to everybody who's listening and watching, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.